Iconic here, and in this one I'm going to be summarizing the Diablo 4 itemization campfire chat where they talk about plans for future content, changes to current systems, and some balance sprinkled in the mix. I will also give my thoughts on some of these changes towards the end, so without further ado, let's get started. The stream started with details about the public test realm, or PTR for short, being available from April 2nd to 9th and season 4 being postponed to May 14 as they want to have some time to apply feedback gotten from this PTR. Characters on the public test realm will have everything you could expect to allow players to test properly in a week time, like instant boosting to level 100, 1,000 nobles, 100 million gold, campaign and class quest completion, etc. It did, however, sound like regarding Renown, it would be synced with your main account. So if you do not have all your Altars of Lilith or Renown levels, it may not be unlocked for you off rip. But if you do have everything done, you have nothing to worry about. Paragon glyphs will also be maxed and legendary drop rates will be doubled. Now for itemization and loot drops. They will be increasing the quality and reducing the quantity of loot drops, as well as reducing the number of affixes on legendary items and rares by 1. That means legendary items go from having 4 affixes to having 3 affixes, and rare items go from having 3 to 2, and probably magic go from having 2 to 1. They are also limiting rollable attribute affixes to all stats and your class's main attributes. For example, intelligence only rolling for necromancers and strength only rolling for barbarian. Legendary and non-uber unique items are now also going to be tradable. Monsters above level 95 will now always drop 925 item power gear. Forgotten souls are no longer exclusive to Helltides and can now drop from whisper caches, and very rarely elite mobs can drop them anywhere in Sanctuary. Uniques now drop from wall tier 1 and 2 as opposed to only dropping from 3 and above, and uber uniques can now drop at level 55 in wall tier 3. The Codex of Power also saw a rework with its new version containing every aspect and having the ability to imprint legendary aspect based on the rank of the aspect in the Codex. The rank of aspects are increased by salvaging gear at the blacksmith, with the highest ranks only being obtainable in World Tier 4 for most aspects. Side note, they accidentally showed this new Minion aspect, which looks pretty interesting. They also revealed a new crafting system called Tempering and Masterwork, which replaced the current gear upgrade system. Tempering is a system which allows you to imprint a random affix from an item called Tempering Manuals, which will have 4 affixes based around a central theme like mobility or bone skills as examples given. You can imprint new affixes on gear and reroll these affixes up to the item's tempering durability, similar to the way forging potential works in Last Epoch. Most items can only have 1 tempered affix, while Ancestral can have 2. These affixes cannot be from the same category, so you cannot stack 2 defensive temper affixes or weapon tempered affixes, for example. Unique items cannot be tempered. The next change is the introduction of greater affixes, which are affixes on items that drop with a 50% higher multiplier on the respective affix. So for example, if it was going to drop with a max roll of 100, it will now drop with 150, and it is always max roll. It doesn't increase the range, it is just always 1.5x of the max roll. So if the max roll is 100, it will always be 150. They can only be dropped, however, and they cannot be crafted and can only appear on ancestral and unique gear. The last crafting change talked about is Masterworking, which is used to upgrade item affix values, giving small upgrades to every affix on the item, including tempered affixes, up to a max of 12 Masterwork ranks, with ranks 4, 8, and 12 behaving slightly different, giving a single random affix a 25% boost instead. You can also reset the Masterwork rank, forfeiting all the spent resources, but giving you another chance at hitting the desired affix with that big boost. And it is also worth noting that unique items can be masterworked. They also mentioned class updates, which are still subject to changes, but I will be only covering the minion changes to keep the video short, and these changes are the most relevant to me. On that note, all minions, including druid and maybe conjurations, as this was not stated for a fact, but I suspect conjurations are part of it. They will now inherit 100% of the player's stats instead of the previous 30% in the case of like necromancer minions. And they have also made Book of the Dead changes, but they have only showed 3 of them, which are on the screen, with the Iron Golem supposedly having a corpse tendril-like effect. The Golem's special ability will now also grant the player Unstoppable, which is a change I can definitely get behind. Cheat Death has also been removed from hardcore characters, so keep that in mind the next time you create a hardcore character if you are a hardcore Andy. Every world tier now gives more bonus XP to help with leveling. Helltides are now available in world tiers 1 and 2, and they have added a threat meter which fills up as you kill mobs and take part in other Helltide activities. And this leads to you being ambushed by monsters and Hellborn. And on the note of Hellborn, they are enemy player classes, kind of like how we had Bloodseekers that hunted you down in season 2. Once the bar is full, it starts draining and you face what looks like waves and waves of mobs, with the Hellborn spawning at the end. A new Uber boss, Andariel, has also been added to the game with Uber Duriel's drop table, but using mats dropped from Beast and Ice and Lord Zero to summon. They are also introducing greater rifts in Diablo 4 called Artificer's Rifts. They will be available on completing a tier 45 Nightmare dungeon. They will be opened with rune shards which are obtained from just doing any other content. These rifts will be the primary source of the materials used for Masterwork upgrades, and they will be primarily a race against time type system to complete and earn the mastery bonus reward, which is what gives the Masterwork rewards. The bosses of these rifts will occasionally have an echo of a random boss show up to use an ability, which I actually found pretty cool. And on that note, the higher Masterwork materials can be broken down into the lower materials, so it's always better to go for as difficult of content as you can handle. With the changes out of the way, what do I think? I think that these are all largely steps in the right direction. I especially like that they're paying more attention to minions, as these have always felt like they were more of an afterthought in a class that they should really be designed around, because a necromancer should be a minion class primarily, with the option of being other things. But then it always felt like the balance around shadow, I mean, they did state that they didn't intend to have a pure minion class, so it's nice to see a kind of change in the other direction, where now minions are getting a bit more attention and potentially on the way to being at least decent, better than we've had in Diablo 4 since launch. Obviously, I also think that Andariel has been a crowd favorite when it comes to campaign bosses, so it's nice to see her become relevant again. And while there were no really big mind-blowing announcements, there were many smaller positive changes which should add some variety to early game leveling and should also give us some extra goals for crafting in the end game. And when added to whatever season 4 has to offer, it could potentially lead to a pretty decent season. That being said, let me know what you thought about the Campfire changes down in the comments, and if you think this will be a turning point for Diablo, let me know. And thank you for watching.